Hey guys, what's up? I'm really sorry that I haven't done a video in absolutely ages, but I've been working my absolute arse off. I've been working every single day, which is really making me appreciate like how hard people with 9 to 5 jobs actually have to work. And right now I'm scrubbing my trainers. Would you get a load of these trainers? I've had these trainers since I was about 16 years old. They were very fashionable back then, and now they are like the must-have um, shoe of the season. So if we want to talk about cultural appropriation, like I did in my last video, should we talk about how these like young teenage girls are appropriating the culture that me and my school friends used to wear when we were teenagers? Because that all these like henna chokers and like platform boots and things like that, we were wearing those. These trainers as well started to develop a bit of a chavvy reputation, which okay, there's not really a word that I like to use because it's a bit classist, but you know, you know what I mean. Um, like that's how fashion works. Items start to develop bad associations, and then people don't want to wear them anymore, and then they end up in fucking landfill, and the fashion industry sells you some new must-have item that you have to spend your hard-earned cash on, and so continues the cycle of overconsumption. So I'm just cleaning off these trainers. I really never thought they would come back in fashion. So I used to wear them for painting and decorating, and now they're covered in paint. But yeah, it's just crazy. Like the last few weeks working every day has just been, it's been really hard actually. Not the fact that I've been working every day, but just the fact that like just seeing how disconnected people who live in cities are from just everything, from just the wider world. You go out, you have dinner, you don't think about how that food got to your plate, you don't think about the animals that were killed, um, for your sandwich, you don't think about the farmers. None of us really. We don't really think about the farmers that were exploited um, to grow our like fruits and vegetables. We don't think about how our clothes were made, and we just read these magazines, and I've just seen like just how slavishly women in particular follow fashion. And this is not a criticism that's targeted at women. I just think that the advertising industry targets women. I don't know why. Men get on the tube and they're wearing like the same shit all the time. They maybe have like 3 or 4 suits that they rotate. But yet women need to like constantly, especially if you work in fashion, there's like this constant pressure to just be on trend all the time. And it's, yeah, I mean, maybe it's just because I work in fashion, but like, I mean, and I did choose it as well. I chose to work in fashion because I loved it. But I mean, I just think, is all this overconsumption really necessary? I've just been like, working in Selfridges and seeing all these clothes on the racks and people coming in and looking at the clothes and buying things, and it's just insane. Like nobody really thinks to just wear the same thing day in, day out. Like why can't we just do that? Like do we need to promote so much overconsumption? I mean, back in the day, I mean when I was the age that all this stuff is that is this stuff that's now in fashion, when I was the age when all that was in fashion, um, I wanted to dress just like all the cool girls at school, but my parents would never really um, buy me any cool clothes. They were just like, no, you'll wear what you've got. So I just used to go in school looking like a bit of a nerd. Um, and so as soon as I could, I got myself a part-time job at Pizza Hut of all places, and saved up all the money that I made from there. And I used to go into secondhand shops and buy, whatever I could get my hands on that looked kind of cool, and like cut it up. And, I used to go through magazines and like try and copy the looks. And that's how I taught myself how to sew, how to customize, and then eventually how to pattern cut and make my own clothes from scratch. Um, And that's kind of how I got interested in the fashion industry. But I just think a lot of this is just advertising, and how women are just kind of just made to feel inadequate if they don't look a certain way. And I'm not blaming anybody who kind of buys into it, because I buy into it myself. I'm just saying that, like, this infinite growth model, and I know we know why it is. It's because of the fractional reserve banking system and the way that they've set it up to promote this infinite growth model that keeps growing and growing and growing. Um, we just keep on buying new stuff every season, because every season the fashion industry keeps on thinking up new ways to try and repackage old ideas. So, I was walking through Selfridges today with one of my clients, and we were talking about how obscene some of the prices are on some of these clothes. And then I raised the point that actually, like, back in the day, like in Victorian times, when you get your clothes tailor-made locally, that's how much the stuff actually cost. You would save up for years and years and years just to buy a winter coat, like this coat that I'm wearing, for example, and it would cost you like the equivalent of like £5,000, and that would be your winter coat, and then you would have it until it wore out, and you would get it repaired and repaired. And fashion just didn't used to move as fast back then. In the 1920s, the average woman owned 5 pairs of shoes. Now, God knows, how many pairs of shoes the average woman in the Western world owns. But I know that, I don't know if you can see behind me, or those ladders, I own over 100 pairs of shoes, and it's just obscene. And I'm not, saying this to criticize anybody, because I'm pretty much the worst one. I mean, most of my clothes do come from secondhand shops, because I've always, that's how I started developing my love for fashion. And so that's, once you start buying things in that way, it's hard to pay full price. And it's the same, like, for other people who start off buying on the high street, when you can buy a coat for like, £60 from Topshop, that's made by effectively slave labor. I mean, they might get paid, but they get paid a very minimal amount. I mean, I talked in my last video, in Cambodia, the minimum wage is half of a living wage. So that's slave labor. Like, let's not make any kind of bones about it. It is. And, even working here every day in London, and then spending an hour on the tube coming home and having barely any time to myself in the evening, like, we've all been enslaved to varying degrees. And it's just getting to the point now where it's fucking ridiculous. Like, and we know why it is. Like, the fact that we don't even care, like, about exploiting people's human rights, animal rights, just as long as we have our shit that we need to look cool, and we're getting a paycheck at the end of the month. Like, I'm really sick of it. And that's what's been quite difficult for me, working every day, and like, working with people who, not like, no disrespect to any of them, because they're all awesome people, but these thoughts don't really seem to be at the forefront of their mind, or if they are, maybe they just don't talk about it openly. I mean, I try not to talk about it openly either, because, I mean, obviously I talk about it on my YouTube channel, but I don't talk about it openly with them, because, again, they're paying my salary. But if I really get chatting to them, sometimes I do say, like, this is fucking bullshit. Like, I've been modeling lingerie at Selfridges, and I've just been like, t-shirt bra, like, that's just some shit that they made up in order to, like, sell more bras. Like, why do you need a specific bra just to wear under a t-shirt? Like, does it really matter if you could see a little bit of lace through your t-shirt? I mean, it's, I will say these things sometimes, but I'm not going to just go off on one in front of, like, the managers and stuff about how bullshit the whole fashion industry is. But, is there not a way that we can look nice and enjoy, craftsmanship that goes into tailoring and design, without exploiting people and animals? Is there a way to do that? You know, I mean, I really admire people who kind of are making waves in the kind of arena of ethical fashion. But at the end of the day, as long as we still have this infinite growth model, you know, until the financial system changes, basically, it's still going to be somebody making money off the backs of somebody else. You know, so I'm sorry to put a downer on things, but that's just the way I see it, and I'm just getting really, really disillusioned with it. And you know, I'd like to think of ways to change it. You know, I'm really busy with modelling at the moment. When that kind of dies down, then hopefully I'll have a bit more time to dedicate to my styling. But right now, I'm just like, do I even really want to be part of such an industry that's like so destructive? You know, and unless I can change it somehow, um, or you know, be a force for positive change along with other people, then the answer is no. Like, it's not something that's going to fulfill me and make me happy. Um, anyway, so that's just my thoughts for today. Some of my viewers did actually ask me if I could make some more videos about animal rights and veganism, because that is why I started my channel, and I will, I'm going to do one about metabolic damage actually, because there's been some debate in the sort of online vegan community about whether metabolic damage actually exists. So I wanted to share my 2 cents on that. So if that's a video you guys would like to see, then leave me a comment. And yeah, share your experience, and then, you know, also share your experience of like what you think of the fashion industry and the way it promotes overconsumption, the way it advertises, and do you think that it's overly targeting women, or do you think that men are just as targeted? I mean, let's have a discussion about this and see what we can do about it, if anything. I don't know, who knows. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I am going to go to bed soon. So, yep, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.